there's kids that are good human beings that you would think have a normal life, and yet they don't, but they pull it together, and you don't know it while they're in school. And I'm like, okay, well then we got to fix it, right?
I am here today with our guest, Steve Limani, Pennsylvania State Trooper and Public Relations Manager.
I don't know what I am. I don't go with titles, right? I'm barely employed by the state police. For some reason, they kept me around over 26 years, and I'm just happy to be here with you, Tawnya. It's exciting, and thanks for the invite. Who got the first invite? How did I get the second one? No, I'm teasing. I'm obviously kidding. I'm just happy to be here. Who was first?
Matt Fritch from here from Headspace Media.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep. I want to talk about you and Shop with a Cop and our upcoming gala.
Okay, that's super exciting. Maybe we could skip me probably and then just talk about all the Shop with a Cop stuff and the gala. I say it sometimes wrong, but I can't wait. I'll try and say it the same way the whole time. And I'm excited and I can't wait. That was one of my favorite events.
Yep. But we changed our entertainment a little bit. We have Scott Blasey coming in performing from the Clarks.
Big wigs.
Yeah. So he's coming to play for everybody. And then we also have DJ Adam Baum coming to get some dancing going on this year.
I love it.
So I'm excited about those couple things. We all, of course, have the red carpet photos that we're excited for. And Autumn Stankay from Skysight Photography will be doing that.
She does a bang-up job.
She does a great job. And of course, it's at Live Casino at the venue. And we're so excited. They do a fabulous job. The food's great. The atmosphere's great. And of course, the cause is the best part of all. So tell me a little bit more about how you got started with Shop with a Cop.
It's a great question. Probably the most succinct way I can say it is I walked into my boss and he said, "Congratulations, you're going to be the public relations officer." There was a bunch of people I interviewed against, and he's like, "I really want you to go out in the community and make a difference." He's like, so go out there, be a good representation of the Pennsylvania State Police and make sure people see you and go out there and find a way to make an impact. I walked out of his office and I'm thinking to myself, what the hell does that mean? I don't know what that means. I arrested people for 11 years. I went to domestics and got drugs off the street. That's what I did. I coached 13 people out of the academy. I did accident reconstruction. I don't know what the hell this guy's talking about.
Yeah.
So I did have some ideas of things I wanted to do in the community. And one of the sectors of people that I wasn't jaded towards yet was children, right? So you go to these domestics or a drug overdose or an indecent contact or, and I'm hanging out with these kids. And, unfortunately, a lot of these things happen in a lower economic status. It doesn't mean, look, crime has no filters. It could be a rich person. It could be a poor person. Unfortunately, we do spend more time in some of these lower social economic areas. And as a kid that grew up in a trailer park, I looked at law enforcement and I kind of held them up here,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm constantly interacting, or I should say we as law enforcement are constantly interacting with this segment of the population and kids just in general. And just never really, it's always bad, like doom and gloom, right?
Yeah.
And then I'd have parents I'd walk in to get a sandwich. They're like, "Oh, he's going to get you. Don't behave." And I'm like, that's not who I am. And that's not the perception that I wanted. And I was like, I wonder if I can partner with somebody and then try and spend time with these kids doing something fun.
Mm-hmm.
And how does that happen? And how do we do it? And so we spend a lot of time at the big box stores because of theft.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up at Walmart because I was familiar with the managers there and started talking to them about, hey, how would I take kids Christmas shopping, or how could law enforcement do that?
Mm-hmm.
How do we partner with somebody? I have no idea how to fundraise. I don't know how to fundraise. And what do we do? I mean, I could arrest you. I could write you a ticket, right? Those are all things I can do. I could rummage through your car and find drugs if there are drugs in there. But I don't know how to raise money.
Mm-hmm.
And so we partnered with them. They gave us $50. It was in a gift card. And we went and took 20 kids shopping, and that was it.
That's
people are like, wow, that. Yeah, had no idea what the heck I was doing.
So
None.
when did it go from $50 to $150 that you get to spend on a child?
Great question. Right. So the first year, $50, I realized wasn't cutting it.
Right.
Like everybody was like, well, what are you doing to us? So we were able to do a fundraiser. That was the first year of the golf outing. And I got tangled up with Marcy. She is one of the regional managers at the time. She oversaw Mount Pleasant Walmart, which I think is yours, right? And she oversaw about a dozen Walmarts and then talked about fundraising and grant writing. So I went through like a crash course on how to do that. So between her and the Walmart managers at the time, which would have been John Kramer, JT Art, our Roger over here, right? Like he was great. And like those were probably like the main people that were the driving force of teaching grant writing. And we were able to bump it to $100. And then at that point in time, we ended up taking 50 kids shopping at $100, right? Which all of a sudden now we're starting to grow because we only had 20 kids for $50.
Right.
And now we're taking 50 kids at $100. And then we were able to flip it into, it was more Walmarts. Now we hit 3 Walmarts because I was really trying to incorporate all the local police officers. After 2 years of $100, we were able to realize that $100 really, like, it's not bad. It's not a bad budget, but it's not really the best. Yeah. And so we were able to grow. So in year 4, we were able to give $150 to kids. And we've stayed there. That's one of the things we've been talking about. So we're working on a board and all that other stuff, but maybe increasing that a little bit because of boy, things really got more expensive in these last few years. Absolutely. So we're talking about, what does it look like moving forward? Do we need to bump the amount up a little bit? So, but the great thing about the amount of money we're spending is Walmart gives free clothing. So we are getting jackets, gloves, boots, hats. Generally, we're getting some type of version of that or all of it at any one of the 6 Walmarts that we go to now. So to outfit a kid with a jacket has nothing to do with our budget.
How does one get chosen to go shopping?
Great question. Okay, so we actually have a business card that we pass out at the Chiefs of Police meeting. And the business card has our logo. And then it says, I'd like to nominate you for the Shop at the Cop program. Contact me at the information on this card in November. And on the back of the card, it says officer name and has a spot for the officer to put their name, a contact number, and then everything that law enforcement does, we tag it with an incident number. It's kind of like our filing system. Okay. So every police department has that. So, God forbid you meet a kid in January. I hate to say that you'd forget about them, but you've provided them with this card so that they can get a hold of you. Or if you wanted to save the card in your locker so that you're going to call them. It's just something as a reminder. So that's why we have the card. And then we also partner with Children and Youth Services, the guidance counselors through the schools. Like the guidance counselors work in conjunction now. Just about every single school has what we'll call them a school resource officer. So we'll work with the guidance counselors and the school resource officers at the school. And lastly, we'll take other nominations from just somebody out in the community that maybe something happened that we don't know about. Okay. Right. And so they have the opportunity to go to our website, which is westmorelandshopatthecop.org. And there's an information to fill out a form. We're not a self-nominating organization, right? Like, well, I want my kid to go shopping. Yeah, no crap. Everybody wants to have their kid go shopping. So, we can't do that. And then, we try and be a one and done organization. Can't be Santa Claus every year. So it's difficult to try and raise the money to just take the group of kids we have, let alone to take that group of kids and then take them again next year. It's just not financially feasible. So those are the ways we get the children. I would say we're more than 50% driven by law enforcement contact. So you go to a domestic, you're there, you're dragging dad out of the house most of the time, and little Sarah's there, Johnny, and you're like, man, this is just wrong. Yeah. Right. And here you are, like it's chaos and traumatic. Well, once it's maybe he's in the car and mom's calmed down the best we can. Listen, give it to Sarah and Johnny. Hey, look, this is awful. You're going through a hellacious time. I get it. I want to hang out with you in a month, 4 months, 6 months. Why don't we go Christmas shopping together? We'll hang out together. Give them the business card. If mom's of the right mind, give it to her. But engage the children and spend time, and that's what I try and like pride ourselves in what we're doing. Like this isn't about the gifts. Like, I don't know how else to say it. The gifts matter to a certain extent, but this is about hanging out with the kids. We're not dropping off gifts at a house so that they can go under a tree so the kids wake up with it at Christmas. Is that the Santa Claus that people might picture? Fine. I get it. And I understand organizations that do that. We want to spend time with the kid.
Yeah. And I feel like it also really just helps the relationship that children know that they could trust a police officer and go to someone, go to you and talk to you about something horrific that's happening to them.
Yeah, we're just a regular Joe.
Yeah.
I'm a regular guy that has a clip-on tie. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Like, well, that's so I don't get strangled. But like, I got a clip-on tie, right? And especially when I wear a short sleeve shirt, I feel like that the Dwight Schrute or whatever from The Office, right? Like, I'm like, look, I feel like I look like a clown. But we're just regular people, that are just out there trying to help.
That's great. So walk me through a day at Shop with the Cop.
Oh man, I love so for me, Shop with the Cop starts the night before. Right. So I have to go to Walmart. This is all like post-COVID. And I think everybody's had something good or bad come from COVID, right? Well, a lot of bad, right? We associate a lot of bad things with COVID, but I think everybody had something that transitioned or changed in their life that was good.
Yep.
For us, the great thing that happened from COVID is that we now have the kids all lined up. We rope off the parking lot at the Lawn and Garden Center. So Walmart's open. Now they're not open 24 hours, right? So they cut down usually around 11 or 12 o'clock at night. So we drive out. So like, it's nothing for me to drive out there at 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. And I go to the Walmart and I get the police tape. I rope off the parking lot at the Lawn and Garden Center so that we can corral all of our people. And we know we're going to park the kids as they get there. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So we leave them in the vehicles. So that gives us a little, hey, mom, dad, the guardian, whoever's in the car. You stay in the car, shop with a kid, shop with a cop, not shop with a cop, the grandma, cousin Joey, Fred that was just along for the ride and we're all going shopping. No, you guys stay in the car. Yeah. We number the cars so we know what order they're in. We took a coinciding sticker on the child just in case we drop them off at the right car, right? So they had the same numbers as the car. Yeah. And then we take the kids in shopping and we get to have a more one-on-one experience. So like it's way more structured and organized that way. So that's a blast. And then we also have a photo booth that we've been able to acquire. And so we have a photo booth set up inside so we're able to take fun pictures with the kids. If there's a phone number to send it to, if not, but really what I love is we print off the picture and we're able to give it to the kid, right? Because a lot of these kids don't have that thing. So we're physically giving the kids a picture. There's usually snacks and goodies that we're able to have with the kids. And it's a day of or half a day of spending time, walking around the store and you see like these gentle giants that are walking around and then next thing they're picking up a kid. They're got piggybacking a kid or they have a kid on their shoulders or, it's a little bit more of a little loosey-goosey, right? With some of those rules. But so, and you see the kid come out of their shell.
So I remember about 6 or 7 years ago when I started to really get to know you, I wrote a story about you for one of our issues of GOAL Magazine. And you told me about a little girl that bought a teapot. And that always stayed with me. And about a little girl that also bought, or maybe it was a little boy that bought pajamas for everyone.
Yes. Those are exactly the two stories, and that they're just reversed. There was a young kid, I go by like heights. He was that old. Okay. Right? Am I saying that? He was that old. Yeah. Not like this high, like it's high off the ground. So he's like, I want to get these flowers for my mom. I was okay. Like, he's scared, obviously, or nervous to talk to me, and I'm like. And he says like flower, and I'm like, listen, my friend, we're in Walmart. Instead of getting your mom that, like, why don't you get her like, I don't know, we'll get her like a coffee pot or something. He sees like his little wheels turning and the Scottsdale officers behind me going, no, like shut up, Steve, which most of the people at my house tell me that, right? so yeah, I was like, what, and he's like, well, he sees kids, he's like, well, when I'm at the cemetery, like the other moms, they don't have that on their things. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, and here this kid, his mom died in a car crash, and ignorant me is exactly that. I'm thinking, well, she's trying to get a carton of cigarettes or trying to take advantage of the system. And here this child is truly an innocent child, right? Just trying to think of something. And I was like, yeah, you know what? We're going to get those flowers and, go shopping. And I'm on the phone. I'm like, I got to call a florist. There's no way this kid's not getting these flowers.
Yeah.
So we bought, but and then that's when the light bulb, kind of was in my mind, like, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
These 90% of the kids are buying something for somebody else.
Yeah.
Like it blows your mind. Like they want to buy for a guidance counselor because they've never had any money, right? They're always told, well, make me a card or do a chore. They actually have in their minds money, and they can buy something.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of money, $150, $100 in their mind. Holy cow, I'm rich, right? You can't quantify money. They might get $1. So I was like, wow, that's it's powerful.
Yeah.
They have nothing, yet they're willing to give to somebody else.
I love that so much. And that just really, after I sat down with you and we talked about that and you shared those stories, really stuck with me. 2020, speaking back of COVID from a few minutes ago, that is where the yard signs came from. So tell us a little bit about the yard signs that we see all over,
Well, you can almost make me cry if I tell that story. So, all right. So I was on a phone call with the superintendent from Hempfield, and we're talking about how COVID has affected everybody. And I had asked her, like, what's different for you that is something that you didn't know or didn't understand? Because I was just trying to soak up as much information as I could from different fields. And she's like, there's kids that are good human beings that you would think have a normal life. And now these teachers could see into their households, hear what's going on within their household. And then she's like, some of them are a mess. She's like, and it's definitely taken a little bit of a toll on some of my teachers. Not thinking that little Joey or Sarah has this great, do I always use those same names? has the great life at home, and yet they don't, but they pull it together and you don't know it while they're in school. And she's like, that's something that I can't believe. And it's definitely affected some of my teachers. And I was like, wow. I'm like, okay, well, that's wild. I'm like, is there something I can do to help? And she's like, I don't know, what could you do? And this was kind of heading into November, early in November, we were turning into it. And I was like, well, maybe Shop at the Cop could help participate. Maybe we could, maybe we could take some of those kids shopping. They could, if they know they could nominate one of these kids that's struggling, maybe we can take them shopping and they would like that. And she's like, that'd be great. She's like, can you quantify that? What about? I'm like, I don't see where 30 kids would be difficult. We should be able to pull off 30 children. She's like, that's great. I'm like, okay. We hung up. I'm like, this is fine. And it was early in the week. So it was the next following, Monday or Tuesday, I get this email. And it was from I think it was from Mount Pleasant. I think it was your school. I get this email and it was like, hey, Steve, thanks a bunch. These are the 30 kids that we're nominating for Shop at the Cop. And I was like, I had somewhere to go. And I was like, what the hell is this? I don't, and then I leave and I'm running around and I come back. And then there was one from up north, from one of our Kiski area schools. And they said, here's our 30 kids. And I was like,
oh,
yeah. I'm in trouble, right?
Uh-huh.
So I called her. I called her. I said, hey, her name was Tammy. I said, hey, Tammy, it's Steve. I'm just calling to check in to see how you're doing. And she's like, oh, yeah, I thought you were trying to get my 30 kids already. She's like, I didn't get there yet. I put it out to the guidance counselors, to the police, blah, 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 and we're working on that. She's like, but when I went to that superintendent's meeting and I told them that they could all have 30 kids to go to the school, she's like, they were so excited it wasn't funny. She's like, so thank you for doing that. Yeah. She's like, it's going to go a long way with the teachers and all of the people in Westmoreland County. She's like, it's going to go a long way. She's like, thanks for doing that. I'm like, yeah, I'm excited to do it. I'm excited to do it. And I was like, I hung up the phone and I was like, oh my God, what just happened? I'm like, we had a little bit of money saved up and I single-handedly broke Shop at the Cop.
Yeah.
I didn't make any money. Mm-hmm. And now I just somehow, about 10 school districts participated. So I'm adding $300 300 kids times $150, right? So I'm adding a $45,000 bill to we're already taking 300 to 400 kids shopping.
Yeah.
And I went home. It probably took me about a week of like, I actually cried. I'm like, I ruined the shop with the cop, and I don't know what to do. Like, I can't fix this. Then I thought about making it $100 again and going back to $100. And I'm like, look, I'm not 6'5", 250, right? Like, I got to solve problems and I got to talk people into handcuffs. I'm like, I got to figure this out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there was these yard signs all over because the election was going on, right? So I called it. One thing with my job is I have the 3 TV channels on speed dial if I need something, because they have me on speed dial for stuff. So I said, hey, and back then if you said I had a COVID story, they're like, they couldn't run to you fast enough, right? So I said, hey, I have a COVID story that I'd like to do. They're like, what is it? I said, nonprofit's going broke. They're like, let me call our news director. I'll get right back to you. They're like, they love it.
Yeah.
They're like, what, can you find us a nonprofit? I'm like, you're talking to one.
Yeah.
I'm going broke. I'm broke, and we went there and I just told them, I'm like, hey, like, I made these yard signs. I don't know if anybody would want one. I don't know if anybody had, I'm asking for money and I know it's a tough time. So I don't know but I can't take kids Christmas shopping. And unless we sell these signs, I'm going to have to do a fundraiser. I'm going to have to run on a credit card and then do a fundraiser eventually to pay off the credit card because we're going broke.
Yeah.
And put those yard signs. I had them on the TV channels, and we did 550 yard signs.
That's amazing. And how many kids did you take shopping? 5.
We took almost, it was like 800 and some kids we took shopping that year, but they gobbled up.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So at last year's gala, the very next day, you were going shopping for prom season.
Yes.
So that is something new. Tell us a little bit about that. It is something new.
We definitely miss a sector of kids, which would be the older kids that have been dealing with crap their entire life, right? So in my personal life, my kids were getting to that age, and I went to something that is, I don't know if it happens everywhere. It doesn't happen where I'm at, but you guys out here in Southwestern PA participate in what's called a grand march.
Yes.
Okay. Pretty sure everyone's required to do it because you do that right before you go to the prom, is they walk out on stage with their Sunday best, we'll call it, right, which is their prom outfit. And the audience is filled with parents, grandparents, right, like all the people that want to come and see their loved one walk across the stage. And I'm watching them as they're, running these kids out like cattle. And, like, I don't want to, like, it's not the rich kids' fault, but the kids that are affluent are coming out there, and I have no idea what this stuff costs, right?
Right.
It's like a red carpet event. And then you see the other kids, right? The kid that has a suit that looks like, it's 10 sizes too big because he borrowed it. And I'm like, okay, well then we got to fix it, right? Like we're going to, my wife's like, well, what are you going to do to fix it? I'm like, I don't know yet, but we're going to work on something.
We're going to figure it out.
We're going to figure it out, right? We're going to figure it out. So last year we had our first one the day after the gala, say it the right way, the gala, and we went to Macy's. I connected with Macy's earlier and I said, hey, would you be willing to help sponsor this? And if so, what does that look like financially? And Shop at the Cop is going to match it. Macy's was closed. Loved it. They did it early before they were open. Yeah. So we have the place to so the kids don't have to be embarrassed. And their staff was great. They're there with, sizing and an idea of where things are at, and they're just readily available to help out. They were rock stars. So we're getting the guys outfitted with suits, and the girls, I had a couple female police officers and some volunteers to help. They're taking the girls shopping, and there wasn't one of the girls that left out of the 4 that weren't crying. The Macy's staff went over makeup, how to make yourself look good, how to help work through hair and pinning things up and doing stuff, finding them a dress that they got to choose, as opposed to, and there's closets that people can go to in the community to try and get to use something that somebody else wore. But we really wanted them to have a chance to pick their own thing, so they did that. And the guys, instead of a tux, like the tux is great, right? It looks awesome, whatever. But I feel like you could put on a really nice suit, and if we buy that suit for you, then we're giving you the opportunity to have a job interview soon, right?
Yeah.
Especially because we're taking seniors,
Yeah.
right? So we're going to make you look good, and then you're going to have an opportunity to own this. And we talked about laundering them. What should you do after the prom, right? So walking through that whole scenario with them, and it was awesome.
Well, if you would like to support this cause and come to the GOAL Magazine's 6th annual gala benefiting Shop with a Cop and this amazing cause, all the children's lives that this has impacted, again, go to GOALus.com under the events tab, and you could purchase tickets there if you'd like to receive an invitation in the mail. Just in general, if you want to support the cause, learn more about them, learn more about their other events other than just the gala, the Ugly Sweater Party, the golf outing. I want to thank our sponsors, Second Half Coach Wealth Management, Headspace Media, Laurel Highlands Insurance Group, and Kissel & Associates. Without them, this podcast wouldn't be possible. And I also want to let you know, please visit our website and follow our social media channels to learn more about our upcoming issues and other philanthropic endeavors as well. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, and we'll see you at the gala.
Yes.
I appreciate you. You're the best.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.